Hello, this is Ken Bodicher, also known as Bad Ken on the BattleForge forums, and Karch in the game. A few weeks ago, the second BattleForge Community Challenge was held, and the object was to have the fastest time on the single-player PVE map Soultree, using a deck with only one color in it. There was also a prize awarded for the silliest or the funniest replay, and this is my entry which won that prize. I call this replay Great Balls of Fire. Now, there's nothing too exciting about the start of this. Viridia comes in, I get control of the defenders, I put them up on the wall. I'm using pure fire for this because I had to use pure something, and I figured fire would be the most fun to mess around with. I started up by summoning a group of thugs, and their whole idea was to kind of look goofy while they ran around in circles near the Twilight attackers. They didn't really have much effect there. I run the thugs over and build a couple of power wells, and I'm going to bring in a second group of thugs, and I'm going to use them to flank the archers that come in with the second group so that the defenders won't take quite as much damage. I didn't want to have to worry about losing the defenders or not having enough time on this map because I'm trying to be silly, not trying to get a record time. So here come the thugs, and they're going to thug it on the archers there, and giving the defenders an opportunity to kill off the slavers really quickly. Now, the standard fire strategy for this map is to build up a bunch of mortar towers at this point to kill off the frozen third group of Twilight attackers, soon to be frozen. So I started with a mortar tower here, and here come the Twilight. And they made it a little bit past Viridia's spell, so I had to hop my defenders up on the wall really quick and use my thugs to fight the guys that didn't get frozen while I build up my mortar towers. The thugs have a small attack, and these defenders, these Lyrish defenders, also have a small attack. Unlike the defenders, the frost defenders in the game have a large attack. These guys only have a small attack. So they're really good for taking out the groups of warriors at the front and the archers in the back. The thugs aren't going to make it to the back, though, because once they got to this point, they started attacking those Twilight slavers, which blew up and killed them. But they were just meant to be sacrificial anyway. So I've got 5 mortar towers pounding on these guys. My mortar towers aren't upgraded, so I needed 5 of them to do enough damage to get most of the group. I still didn't get all of the group, and that's probably because my micromanagement wasn't all that great. But the defenders are helping and finishing off the last large units there, the Twilight Horrors and the Twilight Whisperers. One of the Twilight Whisperers barely gets unfrozen, but once those guys thaw out, I run the defenders away as fast as possible because the mortar towers can take care of the rest of them. And I want to get the defenders over to where Viridia is heading up the mountain. When I'm done with these mortar towers, I'll destroy them for the void power, and I'll build up the orbs, the second and third fire orbs. So first the defenders go to the power wells to heal up really shortly, and then they head over to help Viridia. Now, my initial thought on this map was to try and do the entire thing with nothing but Sunstriders. Now, that turned out to be impractical. I mean, I realize when you think about it, you know, even no matter how many Sunstriders you can get, they're not going to be able to take on some of those Era 4 units at the end. But plus, they didn't do enough damage really to kill all of the frozen units, no matter how many Sunstriders I summoned. But they do a good job on this part of the map, which is going up the mountain here and killing off the Stonekin on the way. They did need some help from a Skyfire Drake, though, and I figured I saw this technique in another replay where someone took a Skyfire Drake and snuck it around the back door here and killed off both of the Stonekin Vulcan-looking guys. So I figured I would try that too. That Skyfire Drake is not going to last very long after the boss fight starts, though, as you will see. Now I've got about 10 Sunstriders there mixed in with the defenders, and I'm going to move the Sunstriders up and the defenders back so the defenders will be sure and not take damage, because I got to protect them. I avoid losing the map by losing too many defenders. When I'm all done here, I think I've got a total of 12 or 13 Sunstriders, my Skyfire Drake, and the defenders in the back, and here comes the boss. And he whacks the Skyfire Drake right out of the sky first, and he's attacking my Sunstriders. He isn't even paying attention to Viridia, and also Viridia isn't casting her free spell against his buddies there, which is kind of annoying. But my Sunstriders, my huge group of Sunstriders, was enough to take down the boss and to take down the boss's minions. I had to summon a couple during the fight, and there really aren't very many left at the end. In fact, at the very end of this fight, there's only one group of Sunstriders left. But the defenders all made it through. One of them is pretty hurt there, but they're going to get healed up by the Soultree when Viridia goes and merges with it. So I use my one remaining unit of Sunstriders to grab the gold there, and I'm going to send them and the defenders back to the wall just to keep them safe. I brought in a Juggernaut here to absorb Viridia's attacks, and I'm going to put up a power well and eventually an orb there as soon as I can afford it. I don't really need the fourth orb, though, except to finish the game, because the only thing I'm really going to use for the rest of the game is the Great Balls of Fire. Here's where the Great Balls of Fire come in. Fire Dancers, Magma Hurlers, and Towers of Flames. And strictly speaking, the Skyfire Drake attack is also called the Fireball, so he counts as fireballs too, but I'm not using them at the end of the map. So there's a lot of buildings that you have to kill here, and doing it from a long range is, I figured, was the best approach. The Magma Hurlers get in a little bit too close, although their attack is powerful. They're better against the units. So the combination of Fire Dancers and Magma Hurlers can take care of buildings and units. And I started to go after that tower there, but these guys wouldn't stand a chance against that many Twilight Slayers, so I just let my Tower of Flames handle them. Here I got into a little bit of trouble with the second big group that comes in, but I used the Tower of Flames Lava Field ability, and it took care of most of those guys. The big old Twilight Vileblood made it past, and I was using my mortars on them too, but they made short work of the mortars, and the only thing that was left was one little Twilight Whisperer at the back. Now the Slaver is going to go and say hi to my guys on the wall. So I did get one less action in before the end of the map. So there we go. I have like 10, maybe 11 Fire Dancers there. And 11 Fire Dancers can drop a lot of fire. Their fireballs do knockback too, so they're actually not too terribly bad at dealing with crowds. But they only really knock back small units, so Magma Hurlers knock back small and medium units, and their attack does more splash damage. Here's my first couple of Magma Hurlers. I got him a little too close to that Stonekin Rage Flame, but it didn't take too much damage. And now that Moon has taken over Viridia's attack, Juggy has made it down to join the rest of my buddies. He doesn't have any fireballs, but it's a promo Juggernaut. I thought it would look cool with the group. Anyway, summoning a few more Fire Dancers before I go in for the kill, a few more Magma Hurlers, and backing them up with another Tower of Flames. There we go. 12 Fire Dancers, 4 Magma Hurlers, and they're off. Oh, like that, 13 Fire Dancers. There was one in the back I didn't see there. And the Juggernaut is just going to kind of run destruction here, I think. He's doing a little bit of damage, but I didn't use his charge. I mean, I just put him up front so he could get frozen and be a damage sponge. Now look, at most of my Fire Dancers have survived that big attack. I lost the Magma Hurlers, but they were I lost half the Magma Hurlers, so they were kind of up in the front. And a nice thing about the Fire Dancers is, from this position at the side of the cliffs, they can attack the last tower that you need to take out before you get to the 5th orb here. Now, in just a sec here, you'll see I got a little bit concerned with the time, so I decided I would use an Earthshaker and a Fire Sphere to take out a whole bunch of buildings at once so that the Fire Dancers wouldn't have to. That still counts as a Fireball, right? Fire Sphere? Fire Sphere? Fireball? And Juggy's in there to get frozen again. while the fire dancers come in and take out all the rest of the buildings. I'm done with magma hurlers at this point. There's not enough units really. The magma hurlers were there for doing knockback on units, but this mob of fire dancers can do just fine. They took out the Twilight Paralyzing Tower. They took out the Twilight Infestation. Another tower left there, but I was gonna go and kill stuff first, and then I remembered, oh yeah, 5th orb. So I went and took the 5th orb. And there they are, the massive Great Balls of Fire fire dancers.
Good. Now you have summoned 5 orbs. I can read the vanishing spell.
The silly Soultree replay, Great Balls of Fire. I hope you've enjoyed this replay, and I hope you find it helpful, at least to the extent that it shows you some of the options that are available to you. You don't always have to use the normal units to get these expert maps done.